To have any chance of conquering Taiwan, China might have to mobilize as many as 2 million troops and take up into naval service thousands of ships crewed by hundreds of thousands of mariners. The invasion force could face an entrenched force of 500,000 Taiwanese soldiers and marines in well-prepared positions. And that's after it runs a gauntlet of potentially hundreds of anti-ship missiles while crossing the Taiwan Strait. The likely scale and violence of a Chinese assault on Taiwan defies human comprehension, analyst Ian Easton wrote in a new study for the Virginia-based Project 2049 Institute. The cross-strait conflict would be the ultra-mega, to borrow Easton's phraseology. Easton's study focuses on the likelihood that, in order to surge heavy forces into Taiwan in sufficient numbers and with sufficient speed to defeat Taiwan's own armored formations, the Chinese People's Liberation Army might need to seize intact one or more Taiwanese ports. Taiwan, after all, has only 14 small beaches that are suitable for an amphibious landing. The Taiwanese military could turn each of these beaches into a brutal kill zone. Taiwan is a hard target. But the Chinese Communist Party seems determined, somehow, eventually, to unify the island democracy with the mainland, despite the risk. Where Taiwan's rugged terrain and stiff defenses collide with the CCP's iron wool, a meat grinder could result. We cannot clearly see it in our minds because nothing like it has ever happened before. No point of comparison or juxtaposition exists, Easton wrote. Our natural impulse when thinking about a future amphibious operation is to look to the past, but no event has occurred in history that is similar. The closest comparisons: the Allied invasion of Nazi-occupied France in 1944 and the American attack on Japanese-held Okinawa in 1945, were tiny in comparison to the likeliest Taiwan invasion scenarios. In wartime, Taiwan could mobilize a counter-invasion force of at least 450,000 troops, and probably far more, Easton explained. While Taiwan's standing military is only around 190,000 strong, it has a large reserve force composed primarily of recent conscripts with basic training. In 2020, Taiwan's then defense minister estimated that 260,000 reservists could be mobilized in a worst-case scenario to augment active duty personnel. This appears to be a conservative estimate. In theory, the PLA might land as few as 300,000 to 400,000 soldiers. For example, if the Taiwanese president was killed or captured prior to Z-Day and armed resistance crumbled, Easton added. On the other hand, if Taiwanese government leaders survived and mobilized everything under their power in a timely fashion, the PLA might have to send over 2 million troops to Taiwan, including paramilitaries such as the People's Armed Police and the Militia of China. A one-on-one fight pitting 2 million PLA invaders against 500,000 Taiwanese defenders would be apocalyptic.